placed within the doorpost, as close as possible to the outside as possible, but not mamish on the outside. The Omer of Yehuda, Omar Shmuel. And the Yehuda said in the name of Shmuel, Kosva al Shnei Dafen, Psula. If you wrote the Megillah, the Mezuza, on two columns, Psula it's possible. Meisvei fragt die Gemara Akashe, Kosva al Shnei Dafen, V'hinicha b'shnei sifin psula. If you wrote it on two columns and you put it on two mezuzahs of the doorway, so you put them up on different places, so you did it like half the mezuzah on one cloth, half on the other cloth will be possible. Ha b'safech. But it's mashma if it was two dafin, but it was both placed on the same wall, on the same post, share it will be kosher. So, how could you say Kosva Shnei Dafen is Psula? When the Brisa says Kosva Shnei Dafen v'nicha b'shnei sifin, it doesn't mean literally you have to place it b'shnei sifin. It means if it's on two different papers, which would have allowed you to install it in two separate places, that's what would be possible. So merely b'shnei dafen is enough that it should be possible. As Rashi says, sheniach gvil chalak bein daf l'daf u'ru'uyin l'chalek l'shtayim chetzer kan v'chetzer kan. V'yamar Rabbi Shmuel b'mezuza halach hacher heker tzir. When it comes to the placing of the mezuzah, on what side do you place it? You go basar heker tzir. There's a little bit of a shaila what this means, but let's see what the Gemara says. Ma heker tzir, Amar Vada abiksa. What does it mean, abiksa? Rashi says it means oisei chur shobe iskufa shetzir adela soiviv boy. The way they used to have doors was similar to the Lego door that you buy, where there's a little pin sticking up on the top of the door, a little pin sticking out on the bottom of the door, which corresponded to a hole in the floor and a hole in the top, and that's what the door spun on. I guess it was the door hinge. So exactly what does this mean? Hechadami, Gan Pischa, the Ben Trey Bati, Ben Begavri Levenashi. So the way Rashi learns is you have normally, if you're coming from the outside to the inside, so it's very clear the mezuzah has to be on the right doorpost entering your house. Right? So when you walk into your house, the mezuzah will always be on the right. However, what if you have a door in between two rooms and you could be going from room A into room B or from room B into room A? So how do you know where to place the mezuzah on the right side of which side is considered a room? So Zokt, the Gemara, you know what you do? This hinge that they used to have in the doorway, this hinge was actually not right in the doorway itself. If I focus on this picture here, the hinge was actually right in front of the doorway. Therefore, what the Gemara is saying is, if the hinge is on the inside over here, then you'll say that this is the room, and coming into the room you would place the mezuzah on your right side, which would be over here, because the door is completely in this room. So if the door is completely in this room, therefore we consider this the room that you're entering. So therefore when you're coming from this way, entering the wall, entering the doorway, the mezuzah would be on your right. If this door would have been placed on the other side of the wall, then we would say the opposite. So the way these two rooms look is when you have a big room with a door in between. So you have two rooms with a door in between. The way we know which room you're entering is, again, you look at the pivot of the door. Here the pivot of the door is on my left. Therefore, when you're coming into this room, the mezuzah will be over here on your right. That is one pshat in the Rishonim, which is Rashi's pshat. There's another pshat that says that it's speaking where you have you have two doors that are in one doorway. So you have a very big doorway with two doors, and you're either going into the left door or going into the right door. The way you can tell which is where the mezuzah should be is it should be where the hinge of the door is. Okay, but we're going to learn like Rashi. Zok ahelig gemara vayter. So the Gemara says, what type of door are we talking about? So Rashi explains that there are people there's a place in your house which is where you would host your guests, where people come in, and then there would be the back room where the women would be. So the door is between these two rooms, and the question is which is called entering, which is called leaving. Okay, gewaltig. Zog to Gemara weiter. I actually had a funny scenario in my house. In my house, when I moved into my house, I made a basement apartment with an entrance on the outside. So where are you supposed to put the mezuzah? If you're coming in from the outside, you're coming in, it will be on the right side over there. But what happened was, over time, we stopped renting out that apartment, and we don't even enter from the outside. We only entered from the inside. So now it looks like the mezuzahs are on the wrong side of the door. So I had Rab. Who's going to?
It has to do with what you use, or what?
It has to do with if you're entering the room or not. So who was by my house? Shalom Schechter was by my house, and he told me, I think your mezuzahs are on the wrong side of the door. So I
Which door are you talking about? From the outside door?
If you walk into the apartment on the outside, so the mezuzahs are going to be on the right side. So you walk into the entry, mezuzah on the right side. Go from the entry to the bedroom, mezuzah on the right side. Right? You go from the bedroom into the rest of my house, because there's a door, mezuzah on the right side. But now, no one uses the outside door anymore. So now when you're entering, you go into the bedroom first, and the mezuzah is going to be on your left side. Then you go from the next room. So he questioned it. So I said, I hear the shayla, I'm going to ask Rabbi Lowy. So he tells me, I want you to ask Rabbi Shlomo Miller, and I want you to tell me what he answers. So I said, my Rebbe is Rabbi Lowy. I'll ask Rabbi Lowy, and I'll tell you what he answers. So Rabbi Lowy said, when I made it, that's where it was supposed to be, just leave it to where it is. So that's where I have it. It's left to where it is. So I told Shalom Schechter that my Rebbe told me to leave it where it is.
What if you went to the again, not the appliance, change it back?
Yeah, so maybe that was his reasoning, is that technically it would still be rented out again. Okay. I told Rabbi Lowy, to good order, what if I rent that again? Have a talk with my wife, I'd love to. Zog to go weiter. The Rosh Galusa, Bana Beisa, built a house. Amar Lei, I remember when we were in Lakewood, where Balkiel was renovating his house. And they had not paid a coil check for a while. They were behind the coil checks. So the optics was terrible. So they put one of these construction fences around the whole house, in cardboard post, no bills, right? And someone put a big sign on the plywood that was the barrier for his house was, your coil tax dollars hard at work. Like sometimes you see at a construction site. Anyway, they gave out a check a couple weeks later. So anyway, Zok to Gemara, Reish Galusa Bana Beisa. He built the house. Amalei Rav Nachman, and he told him, Nachman, Kava li mezuzah. Do me a favor, put my mezuzahs up. Rav Nachman, Tali Dashi Bereisha. First, hang the doors. What does this mean? Zok Rashi. Hemet Hesipa Bebinyan Tchila. First, put up the doorposts. So I don't understand exactly if there were no doorposts yet. So how could he put up the how could he put up the mezuzahs? So I don't know the exact metzias, but first put up the doorpost. Then I can put the mezuzahs on. Why? Because the Gamrina mitzitzis the ksiv batasa v'loyuna asi. If I would put the mezuzah on the doorpost and then install the doorpost, it would not be kosher. V'kavanat chila mezuzah b'sipa. V'hadar hasipa b'binyan havelei osri hamezuzah kodim shetavil the mitzvah. So it sounds like the question was, should he mount the mezuzah on the doorpost before the doorpost was installed? So that's what he said.
Like they were on the floor.
Right, like you have metal door frames. So put the mezuzah on the metal door frames, and we'll put the mezuzah. So Tosfos doesn't like this pshat. So Tosfos says, Tali Dasha Bereisha, Pirush Bekuntrish, Hemed Asipin Tchila, Shim Loi Kain, Havalei Tasa V'loi Menachos. V'kasha Freik Tosfos, the Havalei Lamemar, Kova Sipi Bereisha, not Tali Dasha Bereisha. He should have said hang your doors. He should have said put your doorposts up. If that's the discussion. V'hoi the Kamon, Havalei Lasuyei, Gabeloi Shanu El Shehemed Ulub Zevchatach, which is when the Gemara discusses the Shaila of Tasa V'loi Menachos. V'nur Lefarish, the high base of the Bana Reish Galusa, it was similar to the case we just had, where there was a door where it wasn't clear which way was entering.
Where's the pivot? That was the thing, right?
So Hainu Kigoi in Pischa Ben Gavel Lenoshi, the Selkmina, where he was talking about Mushem Heker Tzir Karmelei Tali Dasha Breisha. First put the door in, because he didn't know yet where the door would be placed. Would it be placed on this side of the wall or the other side? Says first hang your door, then it'll be clear where's the entrance and where's the exit, and therefore I'll be able to place the mezuzah in the right place.
Today you have to watch right from the door.
Well, today already it's obvious from the doorpost where the door will go. Yeah, in the Chami.
Yeah, but before the doorpost is there, you don't know.
But before the doorpost is there, then you have a bigger problem of Tasa V'loi Menachos.
No, not to put on the floor, but I'm saying you have to see the archway. And you assume to put the mezuzah over here, but you don't know yet because the doorpost is not up.
Well, then there's the shot before the doorpost up. You can't. There'd be a problem of Tasa V'loi Menachos. We're going to soon learn if there's no
You have an
doorpost.
archway.
If there's no doorpost, you might not even have to put up a mezuzah. We're going to see
I
that.
had that in my house.
Well, you have the living room, dining room, you have
I had a place where I had Mezuza, and Dr. Mezuza came to my house to pick up my Mezuza, checked in, and you don't need a Mezuza here. I have a hallway that leads into a playroom, but there's no doorpost. You don't need Mezuza.
It's just like an opening in the wall.
Just a continuous hallway, and then all of them gets big, right?
So the Gemara is going to be discussing that.
I thought you needed to do it.
Amar Abzera, Amar Abmasna, Amar Shmuel. Mitzvah lahanicha betchilas shlisha elyon. If you're measuring from the bottom, so when you get up to 2/3, you should place your mezuzah close to the beginning of the last third, meaning on the lower half of that third. Okay, so on the lower part of the top third. Rab Huna Omar magbia min hakarka tefach umarchik min hakoyer tefach. It cannot be within the tefach of the ground and within the tefach of the top. But I must have skipped the shtickle. I'm sorry, I skipped the shtickle. Thank you for pointing that out, because I would have just skipped it. Too often, I actually skip Gemara, and then I realized it later. Also come in Nagar. What if you put the mezuzah horizontally like a bolt? So you drilled a hole in the side of the doorpost, and you put the mezuzah in lying down. Psula, that's possible. Frektamar, any is that so? Amar, Kula mezuzah do Rebbe. All of the mezuzahs in the home of Rebbe, Kiminagar Havavida, were put in like a bolt horizontally. That's number one. And number two, and there was like a private door where Rebbe had to go into the Bismedrish, so he shouldn't have to walk through the main entrance and make everybody stand up for him. He would come in through a side door. Lo havalo mezuzah, didn't have a mezuzah at all. So let's deal with the first issue, and that is that all of the mezuzahs in the house of Rebbe was keminagar havavida. Zoktim loy kasha, ha davida kesichta, ha davida keistavira. What is a sichta? What is an istavira? Zokt Rashi, kesichta is nagar shal umnin kozeh psula, which is completely horizontal, and istavira, which is kosher, hanimokam chibur hashoik faregel umu'umatu kozeh sheira. It's upright. So the first shot in Rashi is if it's horizontally, it's possible. If it's upright, it's kosher. There's another pshat that Rashi has that is tavira lishna chrina. Is tavira is L-shaped. Yehi de b'mokam chibur hashoik faregel hava hashoik zokuf milamayla והרגל shoichiv kozeh, so it's L-shaped, kach hanicha lemezuzah kshera. If the mezuzah was folded, imagine you folded the scroll, as long as one part is zakuf. So in one part Rashi says the mezuzah is supposed to be installed vertically, and that's also called nagar, because the kasha was by Rebbe's house they did it kamin nagar, and Rashi says if it's kamin nagar kesechta horizontal, then it's possible. But if it's kamin nagar vertical, then it's kosher. The other pshat that Rashi says is tavira means it's L-shaped. So even though part of it is horizontal, but part of it is vertical.
What's the first, the sixth, like a boat?
Like a boat, which would be horizontal. So horizontal, the funny thing is Rashi is then, the way Rashi is learning is, even if it's vertical, it's kamin nagar. So kamin nagar doesn't mean anything. So that's one of Tosfos' issues. So let's have a look at Rashi. Hadavidik sichta, hadavidik tavira. Pirish b'kundish the sichta psula, because it's horizontally. Shetchuva b'saf kinagar shetoichvin b'kaisel. Is tavira is mokem mechiber hashoik for a regal. That's where the leg and the thigh meet. Umaru, and it's vertical. Shera. V'hashta ben mo'omed ben mushkiv tavayu mikayon kiminagar, which is a little bit mumble. The question of Rebbeinu Tam, right? Rebbeinu has another problem. Is how could you say that a mezuzah standing up is appropriate? The me'umet lav der chavadu, not a chavadik to have something standing up. Ukvuas chamor korulei ba'amoicha peres. In Perak Amoicha peres, the Torah refers to it as like burying a donkey standing up. The Sefer Torah, the lucha shebaoren mushkav v'lei me'umet. The way the Sefer Torah and the Luchas sat in the Aron were lying down, not standing up. So you see the appropriate way for the Kisvei HaKodesh to be placed is lying down. Even though there would have been room to stand up the Aron, to stand up the Luchas, and to stand up the Sefer Torah. The Aron, there would have been just enough room standing up. Yet you see the preferred method is lying down. While Rashi seems to say that the preferred method is standing up. What if the doorpost was made out of reeds? You slice a hole in one of the reeds and then you slide the mezuzah in. If it was standing up, why would you have to carve out the reed to fit in the mezuzah? Just slide it in the reed, because it's like hollow, it could be vertical. Elamai, you cannot place it vertical. While Kain Pirish Rebbeinu Tam, ki sichsa means mu'umid ki yiseidais hamishkan, means vertical. That's puzzle. And the utzitz baris, that's psula. Ki stevira was a nasan b'shuk l'ravcha, where it's placed horizontally, balas kavilaya ksheira. So Rebbeinu Tam learns the opposite of Rashi. Rashi learns the mezuzah has to be upright. Rebbeinu Tam learns the mezuzah should be lying down. Right? I think that's why we do it. That we do it on an angle. Zok to Gemara. Umil beperek mitzvah chalitza tamin hayis tevira ad ara nochis al korchin hainu etzem ayorid min hashoik ad arega v'loy kibilai. It's not horizontal. It's vertical. So that's a little bit shver on Rebbeinu Tam's pshat. Umil had amar beperek beis the Megillah Yerushalmi tzarich shehei shema shelo royes haPesach. That ain't right l'pirs kuntris. That's not a right that it's standing up. L'pirs v'natam l'tzliyashiv k'goyin d'shita achreina l'tzad Rosh Hashanah. The last line should be l'tzad Rosh Hashanah. V'rishoyin on the top line l'tzad pnim. V'hoifich shema l'tzad avar Pesach. And you put the shema facing the Pesach to be horizontally. Okay. So these are all the discussions of if it's lying down or standing up. At the end of the day, Tosfos concludes, it means it's on an angle. That's how Rashi would learn, that's how Rebbeinu Tam would learn. It should be on an angle, inami kimin nun, or it should be L-shaped, mechta shochev, umechta Zokuf, but there are those who are saying that's very little covered for mezuzah. To bend the scroll and make it L-shaped, that's even less covered. So if anything, it should be on an angle. That's how Rashi says in the second shot that it's L-shaped. Avol shar mezuzah the alma lav hachi avidan is not made that way. El Pirish Tam have a Yusuf. El Fisher Kundrish it would be Mu'amid. So that the Idamak Lake is Tam says it should be lying down, and Rashi should be standing up, and we put it horizontally. But I remember time I'll bring you a raya that lying down is the right way. Say Lamad Ha'Maisa B'Chol Yoim Kisha Sefer Torah Omer Al Abima Hakol Oimdin Ushishlich Tzibur Mashiva Hakol Yoshvin. When the Sefer Torah is standing up, everyone stands. When the Sefer Torah is lying down, everybody sits. So that's a raya that the appropriate position for these Kisvei Kodesh are going to be horizontal. But you have a machlokes Rashi and Tosfos. If it's horizontal or vertical, and Tosfos concludes the best thing is to put it on the angle, which is what our minig is. Zok to Gemara weiter. What about the fact that Rav didn't have a mezuzah? Rabbi didn't have a mezuzah on the door that he had, his little private door to go into the Beis Medrash. Zok to Gemara. And is that so? Vahu Pescha, the Hava Arba Rav Huna Lebei Midrasha, the Hava the Mezuzah, I had a Mezuzah. Zok to Gemara, Hahu Rogel Hava. That is Rogel, meaning it was the main door that people went in from. Damar Bidam Rav, the Mezuzah Halach Achar Rogel. As Rashi says, which not everybody agrees with, but Rashi says, if there's two doors to get into the same room, both doors don't need a mezuzah. The door that most people use, that's used most of the time, that's the door that requires a mezuzah. The other door would not require a mezuzah, and the little door that Rebbe used was not used by most people. It was primarily used by.
But it was used.
Yeah, but it's not the main door that you don't need a mezuzah. So that's another chiddush. No. It's I don't think Rashi's not learning that it's in the Beis Medrash. Rashi says any room that Beis Psachim L'Cheder Echad. Rashi doesn't say the Beis Medrash. There's other Rishonim who shot in this Gemara that the door into the Beis Medrash doesn't need, but a door somewhere else would need, and it was a different door. But there are Ashittas that a shul does not need a mezuzah. I think we pass because Allah we put up a mezuzah al tzkavet, but I don't think l'chatchila. I don't think a shul needs a mezuzah technically. Okay, zok to Gemara weiter. Amar B'Zeir Amar Rav Mas Amar Shmuel Mitzvah Lanicha B'Tchila Shlisha Elyon. It has to be at the lower half of the top third. For Rav Huna Amar Makbim and Akarka Tevach Omar Menachos Tevach. You just have to be a tevach off the ground, a tevach off the top, and then the Chol HaPesach Kulai Kosher L'Mezuzah. Meisher Frekt Gemara Makbim and Akarka Tevach Omar Menachos Tevach. The Chol HaPesach Kulei Kosher L'Mezuzah. Divrei Rabbi Yehuda. So this stems perfectly with Rav Huna, but it doesn't stem at all with Rav Masna or Shmuel. Rabbi Yosy Omer, a different shot. Ukshartem uchesavtem. Ma kshira begoiva av ksiva begoiva. Meaning it has to be as high as possible. So, Zok to Gemara, B'Shlomo Rav Huna, Huda Omer Rabbi Yehuda. He will stem with Rabbi Yehuda. It could be anywhere, as long as it's not within the tevach of the ceiling or a tevach of the floor. And Shmuel, who says that it has to be at the lower half of the top third, the Amar Kaman. Lecha of Yehuda also could be anywhere besides the top tevach and the bottom tevach. But look Rabbi Yosy, who says it has to be as high as possible, not at the lower part of the top third. Amar Buna B'Dam Nasa Nolim Rabbi Yosy. He's going according to Rabbi Yosy. Rabbi Yosy says all the way to the top. Rabbi Yosy means is. I think I just lost my camera. The Rashi means umat chilas shlisha oyon dika omar larchika shaloi larchika min hakor shel maila yoser mishlish. So we were saying that what Shmuel is saying stems with what Rabbi Yosy is saying, and when he said chilas shlisha oyon, it means it shouldn't be further than that. So when Rabbi Yosy says it should be close to the top, it means close to the top or within the top third. He did the bottom of the top third, And we're saying that's what the Yosy meant when he said at the top. He just means the top third, but it's still the bottom of the top third.
It's not exactly the same as what happened.
Well, we're saying that he would agree with. He's just fine tuning what Rav Masda is fine tuning what Rabbi Yosy said. Rabbi Yosy said all the way to the top. Rav Masda said it means the top third, but we put it to the lower half of the top third. As Rashi says, Yosy lo yachikenu min hatikra, don't go further away from the top. If you shall mash from Perek Beis the Megillah, the Chesha Pesach Gavoya Harbe, whatever is a very, very high doorpost, it's a 30-foot doorpost, then you don't put it in the top third. It's a Manicha Kedeged Kseifav V'Cholik Al Hashah Shalom. So we have a Machlokes Bavli Yushalmi. The Bavli holds that you always have to be at the lower part of the top third. Yushalmi says that's on a normal sized doorway, but if you have a huge doorway, you'll keep it so that you can reach it. Mitzvah l'anicha b'tevach hasamach l'shusharabim. In our doors are not 6-8 inches thick, the doorpost. But when you're in Israel, you see these stone walls, you could have like a 5-foot doorpost. Right? Especially in the old city, there's huge stone walls. Where do you put it? You put it in the tevach closest to the Rosh Hashanah. My time, what's the reason? Rabbanan Amri Kedei Sheyifka b'Mezuza miyad. So as soon as you walk in the entrance, right there, you encounter the Mezuza. We want it to be a shmira, and I guess the perimeter that falls within the shmira is within the perimeter of the mezuzah, not outside of the perimeter. So why does every door in the house require mezuzahs? You have a perimeter, you mean? I hear. So maybe it's just for that room. Each room needs its own shmira. Amar Chanina, come and see. Shaloi kemidas HaKadosh Baruch Hu midas basar v'dam. The midah of HaKadosh Baruch Hu is not like the midas basar v'dam. Why? Melech basar v'dam, melech yoshev mibafnim. The melech sits inside, fortified, surrounded by his troops. Ve'am mishamer noisam mibachutz. Midas HaKadosh Baruch Hu einikein. Avad of yoshev mibafnim, we sit protected and secure inside the perimeter that HaKadosh Baruch Hu stands and protects us. V'hu mishamran mibachutz. Shenemar Hashem shomerecha, Hashem tzilcha. What side did the mezuzah on? Al yad yaminecha. Hemek lo tefach psula. The way I understand it is, if you chisel out into the doorpost and you put the mezuzah deep into the doorpost, so the mezuzah is not right at the surface of the doorpost, the mezuzah is deep in. Is that how the archwell touches it? That's how I understood it.
Made a hole in the doorpost.
And he put it deep in. Okay? You know, it's interesting because if you walk around in the old city, even in the Muslim quarter, you see that in the doorpost they chiseled out. I mean, it wasn't a tafach deep. It was just enough to put a mezuzah in so that the outside surface would be flush. But if it's a tafach deep, psula, lower Messiah. Maybe we can bring a raya to Rabbi Yosef, because it says in the Brisa, Heniach bepatzen, if you put the mezuzah inside the doorpost, or even if you put it on top of the doorpost, but then you cover the doorpost over with a row of bricks or something. Im yesh sham tefach, if there's a tefach blocking, then tzarech mezuzah acheres. You need a new mezuzah because the mezuzah is not on the surface. Im lav ein tzarech mezuzah acheres. So you don't have a raya because maybe that's talking about something else. Kitanya hi bePesach shachor yadelas. Maybe it's speaking about a Pesach shachor yadelas. This is a little complex as to what it means, but we're going to look at Rashi's pshat. Rashi learns we're speaking about a door that's on a corner. So imagine you have a wooden post at the corner itself, and that wooden post acts as a doorway for the door that's to the right on the south wall, and that same doorpost will be the doorpost for the door that's on the west wall. So the hinge, there'd be two sets of hinges on this post, one on the right side for the right door, and one on the left side for the left door. And the door, so the way it works is, if this door was open, if this door was open all the way, that means, and the mezuzah, left of the mezuzah was on the right side. The mezuzah was for this door, right? So if this door is open all the way, then kum tochois, this door is considered right behind this door. So that's what it means, tefach.
That's opening to the same room.
Do they both open into the same room?
I guess so.
Yes or no. For now we'll say yes. But there'll be a problem with it that we're going to have to modify, but let's just stick to the simplicity. So if this post is tefach thick, and the mezuzah is on this side, so then it's a tefach away from this door. So that's what this means. It doesn't mean to say necessarily that if it was a tefach deep it would be a problem. It's just that in this scenario we'll say that the mezuzah is servicing the other door. So let's see what the Gemara says over here. Hemek l'tefach tzula lemem shayle nicha patzen oy shetola l'malba in yesham tefach tzarich mezuzah acheres in nav ein tzarich mezuzah acheres. So Gemara kitanya hi bepezach shachorei hadelas. It's speaking about the Pesach Shachar Hadelas. The Rashi kigon sheyesh b'mektzaya habayis patzim kavua. Shouldn't really read this Rashi because the Gersh is very very modified, so we won't have to read it thoroughly. But that's what it means. You put the mezuzah on that doorpost. If you put it towards the door, and it's the scenario is but Pesach Shachar Hadelas, meaning if one door is open, then that door is right behind the other door. Chodesh Pesuach, again it changes. Chodesh Pesuach have a Pesuach l'mar b'charedelas. So then, if the post itself is a tefach, that means the mezuzah is a tefach away from the other door. That's what it means that it's possible. Because we'll say it services the other door. The reason why it's a problem, I'll just point out to you, is because if that was the case and you're entering through here, the mezuzah wouldn't be on this side. The mezuzah would be on this side. That is the technical problem that we have over here. So you have to. So your question is a good question. Where are you putting it? If it would be here, for sure it wouldn't be good for this door. And why would it be here? It's placed on the wrong side. It's not good for either door. So because of that, the way some people learn is that the story was like this. So you ask, is going into the same room? No, because it's the door that's on the pivot is on the pivot that's right over here. Here's that doorpost. Entering, so they both enter into the bayis, but one is entering from the chotzer and one is entering from the cheder katan. And it could be, if the entrance is from the bayis into the cheder katan, and therefore it would be on the right side over here, but this door is from the chutz to the house, it would be over here, so it's an arrangement that would allow the mezuzah to be on the right side of each post, but here you're entering from here to here, but from this door you're entering from here to there. So it overcomplicates the case, but now it stems that the mezuzah on the proper side.
So if it was entering to the same room, why would you design it like that?
You have to speak to the architects. It's a little about the situation. Yeah. There are those who learn that it actually means there's two doors that are side by side, and this doorpost in the middle. The question is, which the mezuzah goes for. So let's continue on with Rashi's pshat. Zog to Gemara. Because it saves money.
No, I'm saying it's in the middle.
Okay, Zog to Gemara weiter. But you can't say that's the case. You know why? Because it says in the Brisa, Henicha bepatin oy shetola aleim malbim im yesh sham tabach tzarich muzacher sham malbim tzarich mezach. I'm sorry. It says in the Brisa. Henicha bepatin oy shetola aleim malbim. That's what it says. And we want to say that means it's this type of weird scenario where there's a post there. But the problem is, the Brisa specifically says that. So how could you say that that's pshat in the first case of a nicha b'patin? That is the case that the Brisa mentions next of Pesach Shachar Yadelas. So Gemara not sure. Ketzat katani when the Brisa goes on to the case of Pesach Shachar Yadelis, it's just providing details of the meaning of a nicha b'patzin or shetol milbein. Okay, that's more right. Tana we learned. Hamid lo milbein shel kanim. What if you built a doorway not of the regular blocks that the building was made out of, but you created a separate doorway made of kanim reeds? I'm not sure exactly what plant that was, but it was some type of plant. So what do? You cut one of the reeds to get it in. This is what Tosfos discussed. So you have a raya for me that it's horizontal, not vertical. The Rashi means that it's vertical. The only way this will be mutter is if you mounted the mezuzah onto these reeds after the doorway is already set up. But if you first cut the reed and put the mezuzah in, and then you installed it, that's psula because of tasa v'loy min ha'asi. Now there's a discussion of where do we know that there's a psul of tasa v'loy min ha'asi. So I believe Rashi says, Rashi doesn't say it over here. As Tosfos speaks about it, maybe we'll discuss it later. I think we discuss it a little bit later. Because that's going to be weiter. Rava. Hani pischi shimei piturin mina mezuzah. Pischi shimei are part of the mezuzah. My pischi shimei. What is pischi shimei? Pligi baravi chumei baba Yosy. Chad omar the leslu tikra. It does not have a top. The chad omar the leslu shkufi. It doesn't have sides. Let's see Rashi. Tikra is a skufa yona and shikvi are mezuzahs. That's one pshat. So if we look at it, this doesn't have sides and this doesn't have a top. Now Rashi has another pshat that the Rishonim jump on, and Rashi says if it's a building that doesn't have a roof, that would not need a mezuzah. And everybody asks on him, how could you say that's true? We know that even a courtyard has to have a mezuzah, even though it does not have a roof. As Rashi, as Tosfos says, Moshe Pirsha Kudros, Losh Nachad Leslie Tikra, Sheina Bais Mekoyer Kasha. Mi Gora Mishare Chatzeros, the Chayavim Mezuzah. So those who answer Rashi about the Rashi, Share Chatzeros need mezuzah. Rashi is talking about a house that's going to eventually have a roof that you didn't put on yet. That's what Rashi says it wouldn't need a mezuzah. But about the shar chatzor, which is not designed to have a top, that about it will be chayiv in mezuzah. I'm sorry?
You're living in it?
I guess in those days, they didn't have to get a certificate of occupancy. Zog to Gemara weiter. Amar Rabbi Bashir Rabbi Chisda, Achsadra Petur min mezuzah. And Achsadra is part of the mezuzah. L'vishein lo psimin, it doesn't have posts. What is an Achsadra? It's shloisha defono susumet shel Pesach. It's a room with 3 walls, no doors in any of those 3 walls. V'revius psucha legamri. The 4th wall, there's no wall there at all. Mitachas. There's one beam that goes across the top to keep the give the building rigidity to allow something to be placed on top. So that's called an achsadra. It's p'tur min mezuzah while if she'en p'timin. It doesn't have p'timin. It doesn't have a doorpost. Hayesh lo p'timin. But what if it had a doorpost? Chayeves. It would be chayiv. Why? Lechizek tikra hu davidi. The same svar we said, it's not really a doorway, it's just made there to hold up the roof. Why would it be chayiv even if it had p'timin? Even if it has doorpost, it's pater. Why? Because it's not really a doorpost, rather it's she'ein asuyin ela lechizek l'tikra.
So what's the measurement? How small would it have to be in order to...
I don't think this is a question of size. If one wall completely is missing, it's just a big doorway from wall to wall, then it would not need a mezuzah.
Comes in a little bit, then you need it?
If there's a little bit of a wall there, then you would need it, yeah.
I'm saying, so how much is
how much is? I guess if it's flush,
Right.
if it's flush, you don't need. If it's not flush, then you would need.
Once it comes in a little bit, get a little wall.
I guess so.
Then, you know, it's-
Yeah, I guess so. Amar Abaye, Chazinu lehu lispelidi de Beimar. I used to see the espelidi of Mar. Rashi says it's referring to the chsadros of Rabbah. So the chsadros of Rabbah, which we're saying shouldn't need a mezuzah, the islu betzimi, they have doorposts. The less lu mezuzah, but there's no mezuzah. Kesover, it must be that they hold the chizik tikru davidi. Clearly, his mezuzahs were not made for a mezuzah. It was made to hold up the ceiling. Meisve, Frek Markasha, Beishar a Achsadra. So a Beishar is like an entryway. Achsadra is what we've discussed. Umerpeset, a merpeset is, you know those motels where you get in from the outside, so they have there'll be like a porch around on the second level and you go up the stairs. So that's what a merpeset is. Chayavin b'mezuzah, these are al chayav b'mezuzah. I'm sorry? We're focused now on the Achsadra.
It's not on the door, it's on the entrance.
I guess the entrance to the merpeset.
He said because it's only made to support the roof.
So for the Gemara, here it says the Achsadra is Chayiv Mezuzah, and for the Gemara, the Achsadra de Veirav. It's the Achsadra de Veirav that was a different type of Achsadra. Achsadra de Veirav, ki indrinya ma'al yasahi. It's an indrinya ma'al yasa. Zok Rashi. So let's see what is this indrinya ma'al yasa. So Rashi says, kamavra. So what does it say? Chaf Aleph? Cheder. It's a proper room. It was a proper room, the Chsadra of Rav. Kezok to Gemara weiter. Kedosh Ma'ot Me'ashu. The Chsadra Ramisa.
Kasha was.
It should be potter. So the Gemara says the Chsadra of Rav is like an Indrunya Mal Yoso, means it's a good room, and therefore it's Chayav Mezuzah.
No, Achsad Ve'irav is the answer.
Right.
He says Achsad Ve'irav Kiddur Mal Yisuf. So it's a Kiddush, of course. It's a regular
It's a regular room. It's Avad, it should need a Mezuzah. Oh. And the Gemara by Chsadra Ramisa. What's Achsadra Ramisa, says Rashi? Asuya chalonis v'chosan l'roi. So basically, the whole wall is just made out of windows. It's a whole bunch of windows all the way around. There's not really much wall. So the chiddush is
learning group thing that they make, with the roof.
that's right, like a shtickle gazebo, right? So that's a chiddush. You would have thought that that's not called walls. Kamash Malon that it is. Amarach B'Amar Yehuda Beir Ziki Chayiv B'Shtei Mezuzos. A Beir Ziki is Chayiv in two mezuzos. My Beir Ziki Amar Papa Saba Mishmei Rav. It's Beishar HaPesuch L'Chotzer Ubotim Pesuchin L'Beishar. So when you walk in from the outside, if we look at this picture over here, you have a Chotzer. If you walk into this Beishar, there's a door here to get into the Beishar and from the Chotzer, but there's also a door to get into the house from this Beishar. Or similar to this, where you have there's a door to get in. Oh, this is a little bit more of a complicated case. So that's the case. There's two doors in it. So Zog to Gemara, it needs two mezuzahs. My be'ezik and my papa Saba Mishmei Rav Beishar Pesuch L'Chotzer Uvotim Pesuchin L'Beishar. Tell me about it. Beishar Pesuch L'Gina. What if the Beishar is open not to a regular Chotzer of Batim, but to a garden, a vegetable garden? And that's really the picture that I showed you. It's open to a vegetable garden. It's not open to a Chotzer where there's other houses there. Okay? So now the question is, Ulikitonis enter a home. And Yosy Omer needed kikitonis. We treat it like the kitonis, and therefore it needs mezuzas. The chamorim needed kebei shar. So the question is, what exactly is the case over here? So Rav Shmuel Amri Tarvai. Rav Shmuel both tell us. Mi Gina Labayis, the doorway from the Gina into the house, Kul Alma Loi Pligi the Chayiv. So Megina Labayis, this is a big discussion of what it means. But Rashi learns Megina Labayis means Ba'oise Pesach Shebein Agina Levei Shar. So the outer door from the main chotzer into the Beishar, everybody learns that's entering the house. that's for sure going to be chayiv. So Nachamal. Rava, where are we up to? Rava Shmuel number Tobai. Megin Labais, Kulam Rav the chayiv. There, everybody agrees. Side of Yosy and side of Chum hold it's chayiv. My timer, Bia Debayasi. When you're going from the Gina into the Beis Shar, you're going into the house. So that's clearly Mechuyev b'Mezuza. Ki pligi mi bayis legina. The door that you're exiting from the house into the Gina, into the Beis Shar, that is the question as to whether that one would need a mezuzah. Ma'asavar kitonis ikr. The ikr is the house, and therefore it would need a mezuzah, which is what Rabbi Yosy says. The Chachamim Oimrim Ma'asavar gina ikr, and it has a din of a gina because you're going out into the Gina, and therefore it would not require a mezuzah.
We're talking about the first picture you showed, right?
Similar to the first, yeah. I'm sorry, not so exactly.
Then why would you need it on the outside?
We're talking about there's the outer door and the inner door, right? So the outer door is for sure the door with which you enter from the Gina into the house. That's why it's considered like everybody would agree that you're mechuyev mezuzah. But the inner door where you're leaving, that you use to leave from the house into the Gina, that's what we say it's for the Gina. You're asking me, the same way you're leaving, you're coming into it also. It's a little bit difficult to understand, but that's how Rashi learns. Megina Labayis, Hainu Pesach, Hakitonis, Shaboy Minagina, Derech Beishar, Nechnosen Boy, Likitonis. Okay. So let's have a look. Actually, Rashi has three pshatim, but let's look at Rashi's third pshat. Lishnach mina ve'ikr, megina labayis, im keshu pesach megina labayis. If when you're opening the door from the garden into the house, the heker tzir hava b'bayis. So Rashi learns. I should have right away went with Rashi's first pshat because it is. Rashi learns. The question is, where is the heker tzir? It goes back to the shaila that we started our day with. How do you know if this door is servicing the house or if it's servicing the outside? So therefore he says, Lishtach Rina, Megina Labayis. Let me just read Rashi inside. Megina Labayis, Im Kishu Pesach, Megina Labayis. The Heker Tzir have a Babayis. If this door is on the inside of the house, so that clearly tells us that this is servicing the house, and therefore it needs a mezuzah, the Chula Amale Pligi, the Chayiv. Where are they arguing? They're arguing in the Beis Shar. They're arguing if the hinge was on the Beis Shar side. If the hinge was on the Beis Shar side, then they have a shaila. Do you say it doesn't matter, it's still servicing the house? Or do you say since it's on the Beis Shar side, it's servicing the Gina? So that's how Rashi learns in his third pshat. So let's see this inside. Rashi learns Tabayu. Megina Labayis, the Chulano Pligi the Chayiv. If the tzir, if the hinge was on the inside of the house, then everybody agrees you're chayiv, it services the house, it needs a mezuzah. My time would be the baisi. Keep ligi mi bayis lagina. If the hinge was actually on the outside of the door, my server kitoni sicker, and nevertheless, even though the hinge is on the outside, we still say it's servicing the home, and it will require mezuzah. Umar server gina ikr, and since it's on the outside, towards the gina, we will say that it's servicing the Gina and it will not require a mezuzah. They have a different opinion as to what the machlokes between the Chachamim and Rabbi Yosy is. They hold, forget, if the hinge is on the outside, clear it's potter, because my time of Pesach the Gina, which for sure attributed to the Gina, which does not need a mezuzah, even if the hinge was on the inside of the wall of the house, it's in the house. Even there's a machlokes, Marsav or Bia de Baisu. One man holds it's Bia de Bais, which is Rabbi Yosy, and in the Mezuza, Umar Savar, Kula Adaita Begina, and therefore it would not need a Mezuza. Abai Rava, we just have to finish these two dots. Abai Rava, Avdi Kirabba Rabbi Yosef. Abai and Rava paskin like Rabba and Rabbi Yosef. So if they paskin like Rabba and Rabbi Yosef, that means everybody holds that if it's on the inside of the doorway, it's for sure chayiv, and if it's on the outside of the doorway, they're going to be machmer to paskin like Rabbi Yosy that it's going to be chayv and mezuzah. Rabbi Ashi Ovid Karavu Shmuel l'chumra, and Rabbi Ashi passed like Rav and Shmuel, meaning that if it was on the outside of the door, everybody's moida that it's allowed. Umachach mezuzah tevayu, the sover like Rabbi Yosy. So forget. What did Rav and Shmuel were the first sheet? So Rav and Shmuel were the ones who said that if it's on the inside, everybody holds that for sure needs a mezuzah, and if it's on the outside, they pass in the chumrah like Rabbi Yosy that it would need a mezuzah. What's that? And by Rabbi, like Rabbi and Rabbi Yosef, meaning that if it was on the inside, that's where there's a shaila. But if it's on the outside, everybody agrees that it's for the garden, and it would not need. So Rav Ashi is the most machmer because of the Rav Shmuel. The question is, how do you know that he passes l'chumra like Rabbi Yosy? Maybe he passes like the chachamim. So first mistake because it says l'chumra. Since they said l'chumra, it means they're passing l'chumra like Rabbi Yosy. Okay, we'll stop here. I have a one dot.